Divine signs of change, recognizing God's hand in your journey. Life often places us in situations where our dreams seem to slip away and our prayers feel unanswered. These are the moments when we must remember that God is a miracle worker, always orchestrating events behind the scenes to transform our stories for the better. You might wonder how to recognize when God is about to change your story. There are subtle yet powerful signs that indicate His hand at work in our lives. Let's explore these signs of hope and encouragement together. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel to join us on this journey of faith and discovery. The sign of clarity and direction. Imagine standing at a crossroads in life, unsure of which path to take. The future appears murky, clouded by uncertainty and indecision. You yearn for clarity, for a signpost to guide your steps. Then, as if by divine intervention, the fog begins to lift. Clarity and direction emerge like a beacon of light, cutting through the darkness and illuminating the way forward with unmistakable precision. This moment of revelation brings a profound sense of peace, confidence, and alignment with God's plan. This clarity often comes after a period of seeking, praying, and wrestling with questions about your identity, passions, and goals. It may emerge through introspection, wise counsel, or moments of profound revelation. Regardless of how it comes, when clarity dawns, it brings with it a sense of purpose and understanding of your calling. This clarity is not a mere coincidence, but a divine intervention orchestrated by a loving God who knows the plans He has for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. The sign of restored relationships. Broken relationships weigh heavily on our hearts, leaving us feeling lost, lonely, and longing for reconciliation. However, amidst the brokenness, there is hope for healing, forgiveness, and restoration. When broken relationships are restored, it is a powerful testimony to the transformative power of God's love and grace. The restoration process often begins with a willingness to forgive, let go of bitterness, resentment, and pride, and extend grace and mercy to those who have hurt us. God is the ultimate reconciler. When we invite Him into our broken relationships, He brings healing and restoration beyond what we could ever imagine. He softens hearts, opens lines of communication, and guides us toward reconciliation with love and compassion. The restoration of broken relationships is not merely a coincidence, but a divine intervention orchestrated by a loving God who desires unity, peace, and wholeness in our relationships. The sign of overwhelming joy. Picture a moment in your life when joy overwhelms you. Perhaps it's a moment of sheer bliss, a burst of laughter shared with loved ones, or a deep sense of contentment despite the challenges surrounding you. This overwhelming joy is more than just a fleeting emotion. It is a profound manifestation of God's presence in your life. In the midst of life's trials and tribulations, when circumstances seem bleak and despair threatens to consume us, overwhelming joy breaks through like a ray of sunshine piercing through the clouds. This joy is rooted in something deeper, our relationship with God. When joy fills your heart despite circumstances, it is a testimony to the indomitable spirit within you, a spirit infused with the joy of the Lord. This joy isn't superficial or temporary, but is grounded in the unshakable truth of God's love, faithfulness, and promises for your life. The Apostle Paul wrote in Philippians 4:4, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, Rejoice. This command to rejoice isn't contingent upon favorable circumstances, but is an exhortation to find joy in the Lord regardless of our external situation. The sign of a season of preparation. Imagine yourself in a season where it feels like you're constantly learning, growing, and preparing for something greater. It may be a time of intense study, skill building, or personal development. In the midst of this season, it's easy to feel impatient, wondering when the fruits of your labor will finally be realized. However, a season of preparation is not just a period of waiting. It's a time of divine equipping, a time when God is actively shaping and molding you for the blessings He has in store. The Bible provides numerous examples of individuals who underwent seasons of preparation before stepping into their appointed roles. Joseph spent years in slavery and imprisonment before becoming a ruler in Egypt. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading the Israelites out of captivity. Even Jesus spent years in obscurity before beginning His public ministry. These periods of preparation were not wasted time, but were essential for equipping these individuals for the tasks ahead. Similarly, when you find yourself in a season of preparation, embrace it with open arms. God is using this time to refine your character, deepen your faith, and prepare you for the blessings He has in store. During a season of preparation, you may encounter challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but know that God is with you every step of the way, guiding you, strengthening you, and molding you into the person He created you to be. The sign of divine interventions. Imagine a moment in your life when the impossible became possible. Perhaps it's a miraculous healing, a financial provision when all seemed lost, or a seemingly insurmountable obstacle overcome through divine intervention. These moments are not mere coincidences or strokes of luck. They are powerful demonstrations of God's sovereignty and His willingness to intervene in our lives. Divine interventions are manifestations of God's power and His desire to reveal Himself to us in extraordinary ways. They remind us that nothing is impossible for Him and that His plans for us far exceed our own understanding. Throughout history, we see countless examples of divine interventions, from the parting of the Red Sea to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. These miraculous events serve as signposts, pointing us toward the reality of God's existence and His active involvement in our world. When you witness a divine intervention, when the impossible becomes possible before your very eyes, it is a profound affirmation of God's presence in your life. It's His way of showing His power, love, and faithfulness to His promises. Divine interventions also serve another purpose. They prepare us for the miraculous. When we witness God's power at work in our lives, it increases our faith, strengthens our trust in Him, and opens our hearts to receive even greater blessings. The sign of release from bondage. Imagine the weight of chains wrapped tightly around you. Chains of addiction, fear, or shame holding you captive and suffocating your spirit. You long for freedom, for release from the bondage that binds you, but it seems like an impossible dream. Yet when those chains are broken, when addictions are shattered and freedom reigns, it is a powerful testament to God's deliverance and His desire for you to live abundantly. Throughout Scripture, we see God's heart for setting His people free from bondage. Whether it's the Israelites' liberation from slavery in Egypt, or Jesus' ministry of setting the captives free, God's desire for our freedom is evident. When you experience release from bondage, when chains that once held you captive are broken, It is a sign of God's deliverance at work in your life. It's His loving hand reaching down to lift you out of the pit, set your feet upon solid ground, and lead you into a life of abundant freedom. This release from bondage isn't just about breaking physical chains. It's also about breaking the chains of sin, addiction, and destructive patterns that keep us enslaved. It's about experiencing spiritual liberation and stepping into the fullness of life that God intended for us. When addictions are shattered and freedom reigns, it's a testament to the power of God's grace to transform hearts and renew minds. The sign of persistent hope. Imagine facing circumstances that seem utterly hopeless, the odds stacked against you, the future uncertain, and despair threatening to overwhelm you. In the midst of such darkness, hope shines like a beacon, refusing to be extinguished, persisting against all odds. Persistent hope is more than just wishful thinking or blind optimism. It's a deep-seated confidence in God's faithfulness and His promises. It's a steadfast belief that no matter how dire the situation may seem, God is with you, working all things together for your good. Throughout Scripture, we see countless examples of individuals who clung to hope in the face of adversity. From Abraham, who hoped against hope for the fulfillment of God's promise of a son, to the Israelites who hoped for deliverance from bondage in Egypt, persistent hope is a testament to God's faithfulness and His promise to never leave nor forsake you. It's a reminder that even in the darkest moments of life, God is present, His hand is at work, and His plans for you are filled with hope and a future. When hope refuses to die within you, it's a sign that God's Spirit is alive and active in your life, sustaining you and guiding you through the storms. It's His way of whispering to your soul, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Isaiah 41:10. Embracing the signs. These signs, clarity and direction, restored relationships, overwhelming joy, a season of preparation, divine interventions, release from bondage, and persistent hope, are not mere coincidences. They are divine interventions orchestrated by a loving God who longs to rewrite our stories with grace, redemption, and boundless love. Let us hold fast to hope, for the dawn is breaking and a new chapter awaits. Trust in God's timing, believe in His promises, and rejoice, for He who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Conclusion. Embrace these signs as divine gifts, guiding you on your journey of faith and transformation. Trust in the God who loves you beyond measure, who is always at work, turning every page of your story into a masterpiece of His grace. Keep your heart open to His leading, your eyes fixed on His promises, and your spirit attuned to the whisper of His love. Your story is far from over, and with God, the best is yet to come.